Hello, my name is Dr. Sarisi West Olatunji, and I am CEO of Crest Program. And I am here today to interview Ms. Wendy Jolley-Kabi of Global Health Action. So, Wendy, thank you so much for being with us today. Would you start by letting our listeners and our followers to know who you are and what you do?
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me here today. So, I am Wendy Jolley-Kabi, and I have the privilege of leading the team at Global Health Action. So, I'm the president and CEO, is my formal title. But more importantly, I work with an incredible team at Global Health Action and with our implementing partners around the world, working together collectively to be able to improve the health and well-being of women, children, and adolescents.
Oh my goodness, that is such important work. Really, it's very impressive what you do and the reach that you have globally. I encourage our viewers to go to your website and check out all of your work and subscribe really to receive your newsletter. Um, I'm going to ask you about your involvement with Crest Program, but I did want to acknowledge to people who were at one of our recent webinars and saw you and heard you and so on. But also to let people know, I'm sure a lot of our followers know that GHA is a partner with us. And so we have been very blessed to be with you and your team of amazing folks. But yeah, could you just share from your perspective your involvement with Crest program and maybe provide some examples of some of the things that you've done with us, to us, for us?
Absolutely. So, Global Health Action and CARES program has been working together for almost a year. It seems much longer than that, because it has been such a critical partnership for us and for the communities that we serve around the globe. It has had a tremendous impact on our team, our internal team, and on the programs that we implement. We started working together specifically because of a tragedy, a environmental situation that happened in a community, flooding that occurred in the spring of 2024 in Kenya. There were severe floods that occurred in the spring of 2024 that affected a number of communities where we had implementing partners. And in talking to those partners and hearing the experiences they were having, we realized that many of those community-based organizations, regardless of what their primary service delivery functions were, they had by default become um, crisis intervention organizations. They had become first responders in their communities without training, without equipment, without um, the support to do that work. They were, as organizations, as teams, and as individuals, really struggling in those moments. And they themselves, their families, were also impacted in the same way that their communities were impacted, because that was their home. And as a team processed that, we realized we needed to take a time out from our regular programming and work with our partners and recognize that they really could not move forward in our scheduled work together when they were living in crisis. And so we paused and had a conversation with them. And in that conversation, it became clear that they were hurting. They were living through a moment of trauma and they were desperate for some support. And so we realized we needed to pivot and find resources to help them in that moment of need. And so one of the biggest supports that they needed was really some support on how to handle their personal trauma and then also how to react and provide support to their community members who are also experiencing that trauma. And so in that process, we became partners with CREST program. And initially we thought that would be a one-off activity. But we learned in that it was much more than that. The partnership offered much more than that. And also it began to be obvious that it would be relevant for all of our program areas.
My goodness. That is such a beautiful story. And I love how you tell it as well. It's such a beautiful narrative about entering in that I think characterizes GHA. And it's definitely one of the reasons why we want or wanted to initiate this partnership with you. And you're right, it's become so much more. We encourage people to go to the video of the January 2025 webinar so they can hear the story in its not quite its entirety, but certainly much more comprehensively, and certainly from the voices of not only you, but two of your staff members, your team members who have been a part of this work. One of the things that you all talk about in the webinar is how we came in to do culture-centered trauma-informed care using our CTIC model. And as you all stayed, so that's an interesting thing. A lot of times when we partner with people or they've asked us to provide a service, that they schedule it, but they don't attend. But it was so wonderful for you and your team to stay and be a part of the CTIC training. And just by virtue of being there, that you were able to soak up some of what we had to offer. And you talk a lot about the transformation of the GHA team members as well. That's evolved even more because we now have other partnership activities. Can you tell us a little bit more about the evolution of the partnership, really?
Certainly. So I think it moved in two ways, neither of which we anticipated. So because we did as a staff team participate, and I would say to clarify, our entire core staff team, core team participated in that activity, not just the team member that was the program leader, if you will, of that particular program, but our entire core staff participated in the work. Um, and through that process, not only did it build and really expand and deepen, let me say deepen, our relationship with our implementing partners on the ground in Kenya, but individually, we were as a team transformed. We learned new skills. We gained new tools to be able to work together and to work with partners, but we also individually transformed. And I think that was key. Um, this really fits into the socio-ecological model that we use as an organization, and this real understanding that in order for um, anything outside in the bigger circles, the smaller circles have to have a change first. And so I need to be open and willing and changeable and change. I have to have an impact in order for me to have a change in the team that I am on. My team has to be willing and be changing in order for our larger organization to change. Our organization has to change in order for the work that we're doing and our relationship with our partners to change. Our partners have to change in order for their communities to change, and on it goes. And so, if we want to change communities and we want to change our world, we can't stay static ourselves. We can't expect there to be change elsewhere, and we don't need to do the work ourselves. And so I think as we as a team began to go through this process, this work with our implementing partners and CREST program, we each learned, we each grew, and we would debrief as a team after each of these sessions. It led to very honest sharing with each other. It led to us being able to talk about some of our fears in our work. It led to us being able to be honest about some of the real challenges in the work that we do. We do hard work, working with communities, working in health, and well-being, working in the larger global health and development space is hard work. There are no guarantees that programs and activities are going to work. There's no guarantee funding is going to be available for programs that matter. And the work literally can change people's lives, but also all of us have done work where we have seen people who don't make it, where there are babies who die in our arms, where there are people who need services that don't get the services they need, where there are people who have been victimized, who have been hurt in their communities, ostracized, who need health care and they don't have access. It is painful work. And there are often either not enough resources or resources aren't made available no matter how hard we work to communities and to populations that deserve, because everyone deserves good health. Everyone deserves access to good health. That is a basic human right. Um, Everyone deserves access to clean water. Everyone deserves a chance to have a happy, healthy life. No matter where they were born, no matter what gender they were given at birth or born with, no matter their zip code, no matter their religion, no matter what other factor existed. But unfortunately, that's not the way our world works. And so there are often frustrations for those of us who work in these fields. It's hard. All of us who work in these fields have cried ourselves to sleep, have cried, screamed with the frustration of not being able to change our world in the way that we want to. And so it is important that we as a team can be able to express those frustrations with each other, but also not be so overwhelmed that we're lost and paralyzed by that. We have to see the hope. We have to feel the hope. We have to see where the progress is being made, and we have to be empowered. And so I think that there was a lot of honesty vulnerability we were able to have with each other. There was also a lot of self-healing for each of us. And that allowed us to be able to learn about each other and to support each other. And I don't want to give the impression that we were having crying group therapy sessions. We were not, but we did learn a lot about each other and learn not only how to support ourselves and coping strategies, but also strategies to offer to each other in moments of pain. And over the past year, we had a team member who lost a family member, a very close, a parent. Um, I'm we had a team member, myself, go through brain surgery. As we handled these obstacles, we had built a sense of trust with each other that we can depend on each other. Our team has our backs. I can step away and take care of myself, and my team's going to be there. It's not going to fall apart. That we could say to each other, hey, you need to go and take care of yourself and be with your family during this time. And that person was able to say, you know what, you're right. And so those were because we had gone through this process of learning about self-care and learning tools and learning that it's okay that we all experience moments when life is hard, things hit us, and we need to take care of ourselves first, and our families, and our loved ones, and our friends, and then our communities, and that we will need to ask for help and accept it gracefully and gratefully, and that there are tools available to all of us. We were able to do that and to practice that and to talk about it. And that I think really changed the culture of our team and our organization. And it changed our relationship with our implementing partners. And so when we would have moments this year that maybe they needed to have a difficult conversation with us, it was an easier conversation. When we needed to have a difficult conversation with them, it was an easier conversation. So it really has been a transformative process. And as a result of that, we began to realize this isn't something that we should only work on when there is a flood or a natural disaster. These are tools that everyone needs. And certainly everyone working in this space, but I believe everyone. And so, as a result, with CREST program, Global Health Action, we are together now as organizations looking at other opportunities in shared programming where we can look at building this in as part of the programming from the get-go and not waiting until there is a natural disaster or some other emergency, but rather equipping people with these skills from the beginning. And so that is, I think, a much healthier way to approach our work, and something that I hope more organizations consider doing.
Wow, my goodness. It just gives me chills every time I hear one of you at GHA recount the experience for you. And of course, it warms my heart because that's that really is what we want people to walk away with. These tools that are not just for the people that they serve, but also them. So whether we're working with organizations and we're talking about your clients or the community people that are served, but when we're working with family members, when we're working with educators in schools and school communities. So it's the same thing. We want everyone to benefit. So it's just so heartwarming to hear that story, and we get to hear it over and over again, which is wonderful. But you mentioned something that definitely relates to our experience as well. Of, sometimes when we find something that works, we want to make sure that we do it again, and that we do it everywhere. And certainly that has been the experience of Global Health Action, that you now want to spread it and include the services, the benefits of being with CREST program in other aspects of your service provision. And to that end, we actually put together a grant proposal. We're waiting to hear about whether or not that a proposal has been approved and will be funded, which will allow us to expand our partnership, our involvement, to deepen it, as you say, which is awesome. And in that, we have the train the trainer model because we believe in empowerment. So we don't think that you need to call on us for every single time there is a need, but rather, as you say, integrate these concepts into what you already do. So that is just one of the things. And I think we have a poster presentation at an upcoming conference. So that's another thing that we're doing as part of this partnership, and just a host of other things, just excuses really to be together, which is really awesome. So you've talked about how you became involved and then what some of the activities were, and you also talked about the outcomes. What motivated you to approach CREST program? What is it about CREST program that appealed to you initially?
Several things. One, we certainly wanted the we wanted to work with an organization that married together both the cultural centered component and the trauma informed component. And that is neither one of those are something that is a guarantee for organizations to incorporate. Both components are critical for global health action and how we approach our work. We have learned so much from you, but we recognize that the trauma-informed piece was important. We have done programming with a lot of populations that have been impacted by trauma in the past. So we have worked in this space, but not always with the tools that we needed. And so you were really able to fill in a lot of the gaps in knowledge for us. That being said, we have, as an organization, always been very community centered. We have always taken the lead from communities. You'll see on our website, if you talk to anyone at Global Health Action, you will often hear us use the word listen. That's where we start. We work with communities where we are invited. We start by listening. We are not the expert on anyone's community. The people who live in that community are the experts on the community. And it is our responsibility to learn about their culture, to learn about their priorities, to learn about what they see as the greatest health challenges and priorities that they wish to address. That is, I believe, And Global Health Action believes, which is why I chose to come and be part of this incredible organization. That is what, in many ways, sets us apart from many health and development organizations around the world. We don't have a packaged program or a set of programs that goes in and says, here's the issue you need to address or that we work on, and here's the solution to that. Here's a program that fixes your problem. But rather, we have a variety of evidence-based approaches and tactics to work with communities as they share with us what challenges they are facing so that we can help strengthen their skills and their structures and their responses to address the health problems and challenges that they do have and that they are prioritizing. And so that is really the approach that we take. And so we are not single disease focused, but we are really there to also help them connect with other resources, but learn skills that they can utilize no matter what health issue they then face in the future. And we walk alongside communities for the long term. So it is a very different way of working. And so it was really important to us to partner with someone who understood that we wanted someone who would come in and be culturally centered, who would listen and value and meet people where they are. And so one of our team members had a relationship with one of your team members. And so it was really a relationship we could therefore trust, that this is an organization, that CREST program is an organization that would come in and listen to Global Health Action and hear what we were looking for and needed. And that's what we found from our very first meeting together. As you may remember, I was very nervous when we first started this project because I was protective of the partners that we were going to introduce you to. I knew they were hurting and they were needing help. And I did not want someone to come in and one, not help them, waste their time, but also to hurt them any further. They were already in crisis. The last thing we wanted to do was to waste their time, put any more stress or difficulty on their backs when they were already beaten down. We wanted to give them what they needed and to encourage them and also not make any false promises. Too many times people are promised something that can't be delivered. And so we had worked really hard to build trusting relationships with them. And so whoever we brought to the table needed to be folks we trusted to be at that table with them. And CREST programs certainly was that, has been that, is that. And so now I fully have that faith, and I no longer go, hey, what are you going to say this week? We look forward to those meetings and are truly partners now. But I was very nervous at the beginning. Like it's almost like being a mom where you're like, wait a minute, let's be sure what's going to happen here. So it's definitely a partnership that has evolved.
Yes, yes, I remember at the beginning. Yes, where yes, you wanted to be sure, but that also just affirmed for us that this was the right organization to partner with because we could see how much you cared about the people you serve. So that was okay. That was fine. So with that, can you think of or have you thought about your favorite or most helpful part of, uh, I guess, what CREST program has offered to you and GHA? So, is there a favorite? Is there a moment that you look back on or tell other people about?
Yes, yes. So, I mean, the overall program, the overall partnership and this program working together has been incredible. But there was definitely a moment. There was this aha moment for me personally. So, I've done some therapy. I've done the work, right? And so I just remember, and I think I probably shared this before, but there was this moment where, um, and I don't even remember I don't remember what was said. I just know what my takeaway was because there was this moment when I went, what? What? And I was like making notes, and then we debriefed about it with my team afterwards, and then I shared it with your team when we all talked the next time. And that was that I didn't have to sit and um, with guilt for this extended period of time before I started letting go of something. I somehow in all the therapy and work I had done, I thought there was like this penalty phase where I had to once I knew, okay, I can let go of this, I've learned this lesson internally. I still thought there was some sort of like penalty phase that I had to sit with it for, I don't know what the time length was, but for some period of time, I don't know, a couple months, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, I don't know, as if it was a mourning period or something before I could then start, releasing myself, releasing it. And we were having some conversation and y'all were like, like you recognize it and then you like, let it go. And I was like, but wait a minute, talk about how you have to hold on to it first, right? Like you got to beat yourself up for a while. And it was like, you just let it go. Like you realize it, you let it go. And I was like, no, 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 that's not possible. Like, how long have I beat myself up over things before I got to that point? And I just thought, I really missed something in all of this therapy I've paid for that I didn't realize I could have just started letting go right away. I didn't need to hold myself in that whatever it was that I did for so long. And yeah, that was just, that was such like mind explosion there. So, yeah.
I remember that session, and I liken it to for those folks who used to watch The Honeymooners. There's one episode where I think Ralph is taking someone, maybe Norton, to get um, hypnotized or something, and you look over and Ralph is being hypnotized as well. And so there was that moment I remember we were talking to the Kenyans, really. We were talking to the Kenyan leader.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then in that session, when you all shared, we are thinking, oh my goodness, they're also getting benefit from this. This is amazing. So it's a twofer. It's wonderful. It's great. And it creates this um, just, I don't know, synchrony or something. It's just so wonderful that it all gets integrated. And I love that this is one of your favorite moments. It is just so wonderful that it's such an aha. You're such a great model for your team. in going through the process. I think you gave them permission to lean into their growth during this period, which is really great. Um, you've answered a lot of the questions that I was going to ask. And I was going to ask you about, like, I can just tell you. Um, so you talk about some of the common issues by talking about why culture matters in such a very uh, a way that is very unique to and embraced by global health action. So that was really great to be able to talk about that, how we helped you to address the issue. But I guess maybe I could follow up on that to ask, what are some of the ways in which you've seen signs that there were positive outcomes? So this is sort of evaluation questions. How do you know it worked?
Mhm. So every week we have a core team meeting, and I often in our core team meeting hear team members utilize or talk about either how they've utilized tools during the week, or they will say to each other, like, hey, don't forget you need to empty your cup. Which is one of the tools that we talked about, that when your cup's full, you can't handle anymore. So you need to regularly empty your cup so that you're able to move forward. If someone's doing something, someone say, maybe you need to journal about that and kind of process through it. So it's like literally become part of our vocabulary. And because we have a shared vocabulary around this, it is something that is just part of our vocabulary. I have seen the ability of team members being very vulnerable with each other. We are a international team. Some team members come from cultures that it is not a cultural norm to be open about your feelings and emotions, um, particularly if you are male. And our team has been able, because of this experience, um, to be extremely vulnerable with each other by choice. And that's not something that we mandate or expect. But because of this experience, people have found that this is a safe place. That if they need to be vulnerable, that they can. And that is something that team members have chosen to do. And other team members have very much respected that. And that is something that I have just witnessed over and over. Um, the care and the respect that team members have shown each other whenever someone has been vulnerable has truly been significant. Um, one of the things mentioned the grant that we have submitted, our organizations have submitted together for another project. And that project specifically is our internship program. And I think, though we haven't been funded for that, um, the core team are all coaches in the internship program. And our interns, it's a virtual internship program, and our interns are international cohorts every semester, 3 semesters a year. And we have had interns from multiple countries, multiple time zones, and that has included a number of interns from conflict areas. It has included a number of interns that are um, that are refugees. Um, it has included interns that have themselves experienced traumatic experiences in their past. And so our coaches have been much more aware when interns have mentioned things or referenced things. I think because of the approach that the team members, the coaches are taking, um, interns have perhaps felt more comfortable sharing some of their struggles and some of the challenges that they're facing. And again, because of the experience that we've had, the coaches have felt comfortable sharing with them some tools, but also just providing a safe place to listen. We have had every semester, many semesters in the past, we have had interns that um, dropped out because of one reason or another. And in the last couple semesters, in the last few semesters since we started this work together, there's been a couple times that when an intern was like, I'm going to have to not follow through, I'm going to have to drop out. Um, we realized, you know what, something's going on. And one of us would make, usually me, I would just have a one-on-one call with them, or in one case, actually, another team member, one me and another team member, and in reaching out to them and just checking in and having a little different type of conversation than we would have had in the past. We've realized in both situations that it was something else happening. Um, we would not have gotten to that place in the past, and we would have just been like, farewell, this didn't work out for you. You're not able to commit to the internship. But in these situations, it's helped us understand that we needed to dig a little deeper, understand the situation that was happening. And in each situation, we have found a different pathway. In one situation, that we were just able to provide a little bit of a grace period and extend some deadlines, and the intern was able to continue and participate. And in the other situation, the intern became a volunteer instead, but still worked with us. And so, again, I just see these ways in which how either our vocabulary or how we're working together and how we're working with program participants is different because of an understanding of what may be happening in people's lives. So it is really interesting. It also means as we're talking to folks in coaching, I just had a meeting this week um, with an intern who is interested in becoming a leader in the future and a nonprofit leader. And, you know, one of the questions that she asked me was about some management questions and, you know, how I made decisions, etc. And as I shared with her, you know, I shared a bit about this process and I shared with her how I wish I had known this when I was in my 20s, when I was her age, and just becoming a leader. I would do a lot differently. You know, I think there is a lot of pride in the nonprofit world, especially here in the US. There's almost pride in falling on a sword, working long hours, not being paid much money. You know, there's this work is so hard. Look what I'm doing. There's almost a sense of pride and the woundedness of that. Um, and we need to really change that dynamic. Um, and I was saying to her, you know, we have to learn as leaders to take care of ourselves, not so that we can take care of other people. not so that we can write 50 grant proposals. We need to learn to take care of ourselves, full stop, because we are worthy. And I think, particularly for women, that's a really hard thing to own. Um, Particularly for many people, that's a hard thing to own. Um, if you work with populations or with people who have a harder life than I have, you feel guilt in saying that at times. And we need to let go of the guilt. We need to know I am worthy. I am worthy of a paycheck. I am worthy of good health. I am worthy of joy. I am worthy of happiness. And so is everyone else. But I am worthy. And if we can learn to care and heal ourselves, then what a different team we create as leaders. What a different culture we create as leaders. Um, and the young woman who I was speaking to, she was practically in tears, just saying, like, I needed to hear that. And I was thinking, I so wish someone had said that to me as a 20-year-old, right? Um, what a different work experience I would have had. And what a tremendously different work experience everyone who's ever worked for me would have had. And that's a hard thing to own as a leader in my 50s. But I own it. I'm doing better now. I've learned more now. And I credit a lot of that to Crest program and to this partnership. And I feel the difference on my team now. I get 8 hours of sleep every night. I've never done that. Never done that. I get 8 hours of sleep every night. When I am sick, I take the day off.
Good for you.
And I want my team to do the same because we are each worth it. We are each valuable. And together, we're getting the work done.
Mm, mm. Very nice. Very nice. I'm thinking we definitely need to think about having you to speak to other nonprofit leaders and staff people about that issue. It's so true. And they need to hear that. You need to give permission to the whole industry of people. You're so right. And what I know is, of course, from the research that we know that a lot of people who are in these kinds of professions experience a lot of mental health
Yes,
challenges as a result
yes.
of their caring. So that issue of compassion fatigue, the cost of caring
Huge.
is definitely a part of it. But you bring up some other things about guilt and so on that I think we need to delve into and be able to help people to think about it differently. Um, yeah, so you've really answered a lot of my questions. So I'm going to bring it home for folks and ask you just basically in providing your overall impression of CREST program, could you sum up your experiences with CREST program, maybe Like if you could use three words to describe your experiences with CREST program, what would they be?
Mm. Three words. Phew, that's limiting. I use a lot of words. So easy. Let's see. Empowering, respectful.
This is one of those moments when you either have 1,000 more words
Yes.
or that's it. There's just two that really, float to the top, are
Mm,
salient for you. You don't have to think of a third word. Those two came really quickly.
yeah. I think as a leader, the third that I would use is coordinated.
Hmm.
And I say that because I think no matter who I talk to on your team, like there's consistency. Um, like you're very different, but yet there's consistency in the work, um, which is really incredible.
And
Um,
hard to do.
yes, yes, hard to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's a great team. Just like you, it's a great team. Yeah. That's good. Well, thank you. Those are three beautiful words. I would use the word blessed. You have blessed us with this interview. It's been very sincere and authentic. And I would say that that's a theme that runs through Global Health Action, authenticity. And you at the helm really exemplify that. And we appreciate that. We appreciate your time today, and we know that it will impact those who view this video. So, thank you. Thank you so much for your precious time today.
Thank you.